your story? Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and what you're doing and everything?
Yeah, my story is long, but I'll try to make it short. My story is I grew up not very far from here. I grew up in a place called Columbia, South Carolina, so down the coast. My wife is right back there, Jackie. We went to kindergarten together, and then skipped elementary school, came back together in junior high and high school, skipped college, got married. I'm a 34-year Marine. Had no interest in the Marine Corps. Definitely no interest in flying airplanes. Only wanted to go to the Naval Academy after seeing a program called Men of Annapolis on TV. Managed to get an appointment to the Naval Academy after much hard work and struggle. Got there, found out I hated it. Called my mom and dad, said I made a mistake, I want to come home. And my dad kept telling me he's hanging there for another, one more week. And so for 52 weeks I hung in there the first year and got a complete year, and then finally graduated. But I look back on my freshman year, what they call plebe year, when trying to decide what I was going to do. And the person that had impressed me the most was my very first company officer, who was an infantry officer in the Marine Corps, a young guy by the name of Major John Raleigh Love. And I said I want to be like him. So that's how I happened to come in the Marine Corps. My wife was not happy. It was the height of the Tet Offensive, my senior year in high school. None of you even know anything about it. That's ancient history, and most of you weren't born. But against her better wishes, I became a Marine, and we struck off to Quantico, Virginia, where I was going to learn to be a rifle platoon commander and go to Vietnam and defy the law, the life expectancy for a second lieutenant. My mom was not happy, my dad was not happy, my wife was not happy. She said, why don't we go to Pensacola? And that was the first time when she told me to do something and I didn't listen. In time I found out I really did not like crawling around in the mud, and the alternative was to go to Pensacola and go to flight school. I said, but I don't want to go because I don't want to fly, it's dangerous and all kinds of stuff. And I finally took her advice and went down. First time I got to T-34 actually, and the wheels lifted off. I fell in love with it. And couldn't believe I did not want to do that. And then again, through meeting lots of people, flight instructors, another Marine came into my life who was one of my primary flight instructors when I was going through advanced jet training in Pensacola, in Kingsville, Texas. He was a test pilot, and we talked about it, and I got really excited. He told me what it was really like to be a test pilot. No glamour, none of that stuff. Hard work, very demanding, very precise, which was kind of down my line. And so for the first 6-7 years of my Marine Corps aviation career, I applied to test pilot school. Just kept applying, kept getting turned down. Finally got to test pilot school. Loved it while we were there. Not very far from here, a place called Patuxent River, Maryland, right up the bay. And while I was there, a number of the first group of space shuttle astronauts who had been selected in the class of 1978 were also test pilot school graduates at Pax River. They came back for a reunion. One of the guys who came with them was a civilian by the name of Dr. Ron McNair. I call him the late, great Dr. Ron McNair because we lost him on the Challenger. But Ron and I had grown up about 42 miles from each other in South Carolina, did not know each other. He had always dreamed of being an astronaut. Like me, he was an African American and had grown up in the segregated South in segregated schools, but he just said, I'm going to do this. Taught himself chemistry and physics in high school. Went on to North Carolina A&T, became an honor student, went to MIT, earned a PhD in laser physics, 5th degree black belt in karate, very accomplished jazz musician, played saxophone, and applied for and got accepted to the astronaut program. So he came up for a weekend, and before he left, he asked me if I was going to apply for the space program. I said, not on your life. And he asked me why. I said, they'd never select me. And he looked at me and he said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And I kind of went, what do you mean? He said, how do you know if you don't apply? So he kind of goaded me into applying. I put my application in and forgot about it. And then on my wife's birthday, May 31st, 1980, I got a phone call from Houston, Texas saying, hey, you still want to be an astronaut? And I said, yeah. I thought it was a joke at first. And so they told me I'd been selected in the second group. And we moved to Houston and started training in the second group of shuttle astronauts. And we were privileged to spend 14 years there, and I got a chance to fly 4 times on shuttle. Unfortunately, my first flight was the flight immediately before we lost Ron in the Challenger. So that was a pretty devastating start for me to come from up here, where you just come from space, doing this stuff, and 10 days later you lose 7 really good friends. But it kind of cemented for me why I was in the program. You know, I really wanted to make a difference, and I really felt that I wanted to give something back to the nation. And we stayed, and I flew 3 more times. And we left after I flew my last space shuttle mission in 1984. I was a commander of the first joint Russian-American shuttle mission, sort of the precursor to the Shuttle Mir program, where we flew American astronauts on Mir. And then we left, went back to the operating forces of the Marine Corps for another 9 years, and I finally retired out of the Marine Corps as a Major General. We were living in San Diego Station. I had the 3rd Millennium Aircraft Wing at Miramar, the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego. And Jackie and I went off and formed our own business for about 6 years. And they got a call from the White House saying, hey, can you come talk to the president? I said, for what? They said, we can't tell you. I said, well, I don't want to come. I don't want to waste the taxpayers' money. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. The taxpayer's not going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. So my wife let me take my money, and she said, you know, we don't want to go to Washington. I said, I know. And she said, what's going to happen if he asks you to go do something? I said, I just want to meet him so I can say no. And I came up and I had an opportunity to meet with the president for a little while. And I was mesmerized. You know, I was just blown away just talking to him. And I went back home and we didn't hear anything for months or weeks at least. And then finally got a call saying, hey, the president would like to nominate you to be the NASA administrator. And so I came up to D.C. for several, seems like forever, but going through all the, you know, the pre-confirmation prep and meeting with members of Congress and all that, trying to find out what NASA was doing since I'd been away for a long time. And then got confirmed on the 17th of July in 2009, and I've been here since then. So, didn't mean to tell you all that since you asked.
Well, I have, and our